dogmatic process of what film ought to be, I don't believe works. And I think in my earlier days, when I was an anthropological filmmaker, I believed quite strongly that there was one way to make a film, and this is how we had to do it. And I think some of those early films in the 70s and 80s were very effective in their time and so on. But if Werner Herzog has taught me one thing, it is that that kind of dogma, when it applies to everything, is just, it's not wrong, it's just that there is so much variety and there's so many ways of telling a story and there's so many different perspectives one can put on things, that to say there's only one way you can make this film seems to me rather, in hindsight now, rather foolish. And when I look at these films, every one of these films was, in our general terms, a success. In other words, it had, they won prizes, they went round festivals, they had a good television showing, and they had critical acclaim, etc. Probably none of them made much money, but that's the smaller end of what success means, I think. And yet they are totally different and probably appeal to very different audiences. The first one is the only one that I made as a director, so I take full responsibility for. And that is a rather tough and depressing film about the Holocaust, and about a film that had been created in 1946 about the appalling findings in the concentration camps. And it was a film that had involved Alfred Hitchcock in the making of the film, and yet it never got shown. And it was a fascinating story to follow because it was showing how political niceties in that particular time was strong enough to prevent something that everybody morally knew ought to have been done, and how that still wasn't enough to get the film shown. And it was quite a torturous process of filmmaking. But it was also somewhat uplifting because we were able to find some of the last people who both appeared in the film that hadn't been shown, but also behind the camera and in the editing. So it was a film, it ended up being a film about a film, but also clearly that narrative was in order to show the strains and stresses and political shenanigans that went on at the end of World War II.